The money was not the most important thing I got from BNI. The most important, the most critical, the greatest benefit I got from BNI was, do I go all in on this at the risk that it may not work? If I don't get any work, I am buggered. BNI changed my life, and we'll dive into why exactly. Hello, I'm Hayden.BloomfieldSSLtd and welcome to the channel. My BNI story. BNI, if you don't know, is Business Network International. It's a business network spread across the globe where local businesses will meet. So for example, I'm in Kent, there's 26 chapters in Kent, and where I was a member, so it just means that you can take up a seat as a member and you block out the competition. So I was there as a gardener, therefore gardeners couldn't join. And if there wasn't a gardener in other chapters, you could go along to other meetings. There are plenty of other networks and business networks. I didn't join them, I was part of a property meet, but this is my story of BNI, the benefits, the worst times, the best times. Stick around, because if you are debating a business network, or if you're debating BNI specifically, this may give you some wonderful information and some guidance around should you join, should you not, should you go along and visit. No doubt if you own a business locally, you have been invited to a BNI meeting. You may have said no, you may have said yes. If you haven't, this is why you should go along. Watch this video and you'll find out. And this video could save you a lot of time, because if you watch this video and still don't like it, you've saved yourself a lot of time then not going to a 3-hour meeting. 3-hour meeting? 90-minute meeting. Let's jump in. I have a very loud barking dog. I was in BNI for around about 4 years, and I only came out of it just because my business collapsed. Therefore it didn't serve a purpose anymore, because I couldn't take on any further work. My story all began back in 2017. I first started my business. I didn't even know what public liability insurance was when I started my business, to the point when I went to BNI. I go to advertise in a magazine just to see if I can pick up some work. And meeting the business owner to advertise in the magazine, he introduced me to the idea of BNI, asked me if I'd heard of it, nope, and invited me along. Straight away, yep, jumped on it. It was £15 to go along and meet, you get breakfast and everything, da-da-da. That £15 was quite daunting at this time. At £15, that was gonna hit my wallet hard. But I went along. I actually had to take a day out of work as well, where I worked for the tree surgeon. I worked 3 days. Annoyingly, the day that I was working with him, I only worked 3 days a week, that was the day of the meeting. So I had to take a Thursday off to go to this meeting. So not only was I losing out on a day's money, I was also spending £15. It was crazy. This was really hitting me hard. So I went along. This nervous 21-year-old, didn't really know what to expect, what to do. Go along, experience the meeting. The first visit, I just quickly picked up on the energy of the room, quickly picked up on the experience and the opportunity that was here. Other tree surgeons the tree surgeon I worked for and other people, they'd heard of it, this idea of BNI, they hadn't been to it. One key piece of information is if you're talking to someone about an experience, an event, a product, a service, if they have not experienced it, take what they say with a pinch of salt. I have this conversation with so many people, especially around Tesla and Elon Musk. They'll give me the reasons why they don't like Elon Musk. They give me the reasons why Tesla is not going to be anything as a car company, why they are failing, or why they're going to fail, or why they're never going to amount to anything. They'll tell me why, but then when it comes into the details, have they driven the Tesla, have they really delve deep into the company, into Elon Musk? The answer is no. So take with that a pinch of salt. I had heard stories from other people around BNI of all that BNI, and when I was a member at BNI, I had the same thing. I'd invite people along as visitors, and oh no, I was in BNI, now I've heard enough stories. And it's like, have you been there, have you experienced it? No. Or they'd been there 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it's like, I was starting school at that time, and since then gone through, the world has moved on, the world's different, so it's definitely something to experience. If it didn't work for you 5 years ago, it may do now. But to my experience, went on to the first meeting, really liked it, loved the idea of it, and I could see the value instantly. And I had quite a few people in the room, especially after the meeting, that were reinforcing the impact it could have on my life and my business. And I'm thankful for a lot of things I got from BNI. BNI changed my life, and we'll dive into why exactly. It did phenomenal things for me, and that's the point I want to push across. I'm not being, I'm not being paid by BNI to say this. Look at the view count. There's 2 views on this video. Obviously, I'm not being paid. There are 31 subscribers to this channel. The day I recorded this, I'm clearly not being paid. But I wanted to share this story because it changed my life. So the first visit, go through it all. I can see the value. I then find out the cost of joining as a member. The cost of joining was an empty bank account to me. It meant that was it. I was all in. I had a car I inherited. I had a mower. I don't even know if I had a mower at this point. I may have just about had a mower that I purchased in the Sow at Wicks. So it's, do I go all in on this at the risk that it may not work? If I don't get any work, I am buggered. I have the odd job. I don't have regulars. I don't have a regular income. And yet I'm building up these costs even starting my business, I don't have a job either. Well, I work for someone part-time, but I don't have a full-time job. So I join. I spend the money, I join. The biggest risk, financial risk, and like on reflection, looking back, it probably was a stupid decision. I don't really think that anyone joining BNI was in my position, literally, of like, if they joined and it didn't work, they were buggered because of the amount of work. Not only that, it was Thursday morning, so I was having to suffer because Thursday mornings it meant that either I wasn't going to be able to do the day's work or I'd have to work around that and see if we could cram a day's work into less time. Totally achievable. Put your mind to it. I join, and sure enough, I start getting work. Within literally the moment I join, I get work. And I actually paid back, in terms of what the cost of annual membership was, I paid that back within the first month of joining. I generate enough work, and within a year I've definitely profited. And to give you an idea of the results, this is different for everyone. And depending on your profession, as someone that's a gardener, it's quite easy to get someone through the door, to give them an opportunity to do some work. And it's very visceral. It's incredibly visual, so the results speak for themselves. And as soon as you do a job, the whole point is mouth-to-mouth networking. It's the fact that you do a job for Tim, Tim's really happy, tells everyone in the network, suddenly Bob, Susan, Michael, Jordan, all these people know then you did a great job for Tim. There you go, they'll give you a chance. When you're in a different industry, I appreciate, like an accountant, for example, oftentimes you're walking into a room of business people, they have an accountant, or the previous accountant's just left, they've still got that existing relationship, whether it was on good terms or bad terms, they've got that existing relationship. As an accountant, you'll have to go in, or an insurance broker, these more like white collar professions, you'll have to build that relationship over time. So you'll probably find first year of membership, nothing. Second year, third year, there's people that have found that it just compounds greatly over time. So in the first year, didn't really do anything. For me personally, the experience was first year, phenomenal. Second year, whoa. And it wasn't until the pandemic that it started dipping down, and that was all around a lot of the problems I was having in my business anyway. But I was getting in sort of like 70 grand a year from BNI, sometimes more, sometimes a bit less. It obviously moved and progressed as the years went on. And the key thing here is I was getting regular business. So I was getting regular customers. So like if I got a regular job the first month of being in BNI, there was those that I still had like the fourth year in BNI, which is still to thank for BNI. And I found that I was very analytical in my business. I had data on like all the job sources, where my inquiries came from. And over 50% of my work was often coming from BNI. And then later in the line, as I really developed and started building the team, it was still a core 30% chunk was from BNI. So there are multiple benefits to it. And obviously the key there being the growth. I experienced so much growth. But the fundamental that I got that wasn't even to do with the jobs. The money was not the most important thing that I got from BNI. It was not. The money was not the most important thing I got from BNI. The most important, the most critical, the greatest benefit I got from BNI was the connections. The fact that I could speak to these business owners. I had a plethora of people I could network with, to have conversations with, sit down, have a coffee and listen to business owners that could tell me their story, their journey over the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, multi-decade businesses I could sit and listen and learn from. I could ask them, what was the biggest mistake you've made in your business? How did you take people on? How is it that you built this team when you started delegating? What is public liability insurance? So many different questions, and they want to pass your work. And I found that because I was this, like, I was 21, young, enthusiastic, passionate person, people thrived on that. And I quickly built a reputation within BNI as being someone that's keen on growth. And I would vocalise my goals. I said, in BNI, the key thing is presentation as well. So I will talk through multiple benefits. And as I say, connection, key thing, the most important. Another benefit is the fact that you're constantly speaking. You build so much confidence because you're having to speak in front of your chapter on a weekly basis. So when I joined, it was like 30 odd people, 35. And it grew to a point it was above 50 members. So every week you're standing in front of 30, 40, 50 people presenting your business, being concise to the point. You get 60 seconds, 45 seconds, 30 seconds to present your business. Therefore, when you go and quote a job or you network with a prospective client, you've got so much rehearsal backing you in being able to clear constructive answers. Additionally, suppliers. In your business, you're going to need uniform, you're going to need an accountant, you're going to need a business insurance broker, you're going to need potentially a bookkeeper, you're going to need a website developer. So many different examples, a sign writer, business cards, leaflets, brochures, all these different things you're going to need in business. Chances are, no, not chances are, it is definite that within BNI, there is that person for you. For almost everything I needed, someone was in BNI. And if they stood the test of time, they've been in BNI. In a previous video, I've talked about big mistakes to avoid when starting a business, and that is due diligence. Part of BNI is that due diligence is already involved in is already there. The fact that they're a member and they've stood the test of time. If someone's been a member for a few months, and maybe not, but if they've been in BNI for years, you know you can rely on them. I will point out at this point, my worst experience, or rather the biggest con I've received, is through someone at BNI, but they had not stood the test of time. They'd been in BNI for a few months and managed to talk the talk and manipulate a lot of people in a very short space of time, so that within a short space, less than a year, they'd managed to rip off and con something like 20 people, which is something that can be the downside, the detriment, but overall, huge benefits. And it became a huge benefit because you can suffer that as a business owner individually. When it happens as a network, you've got that to support with each other. You build on that together. You have that bad time you experience, and the few of you that get conned, whatever it is, you can work on that and resolve it together. You're there, you're not suffering alone, which is a huge benefit. One thing that I suppose goes a bit under the radar, which is one of the most beautiful things, most wonderful things about being part of BNI, is that you are there genuinely to support each other. And that's not just about referrals and getting business for each other. You form true bonds, support networks with each other. There's people that become lifelong friends through it. And in the time that I was there, some of the most wonderful things when people really suffered an act of malice. So there was a couple of times where people had their vans broken into, they were robbed of all their equipment, that was it. Overnight their business was almost destroyed. They had nothing. And yet they then had the pressure of showing up to a meeting on a Thursday morning to try and promote their business, and everything's just been taken from them. They are on their last legs. They have nothing. Their business has got, if you're a one-man operator, your van are tools, and on a job, someone manages to get into your van, take all your tools in a space. Like, so many stories I've heard, experienced and witnessed of this happening, and even my own experience of seeing tools taken and the lengths people will go to get your equipment, it is no surprise that it happens to people. But in that time, you can feel alone, you can feel destroyed, you can feel like you haven't got a leg to stand on, that you can't build back from this. It can be soul destroying, crippling. The fact that you've built this business, built all this equipment, invested thousands in your business to make sure you can do the job that you can do to a great standard because you've got that right equipment, and suddenly you're having to let down customers and clients and say, I can't do that job next week, I can't do that job tomorrow because stuff's been stolen. It doesn't even matter what you say. You can say all your stuff's been stolen, but for a lot of people, it doesn't matter. It's just you're the business owner that let them down. And that's not the narrative you want to have for your company, for your business. But when this happened in BNI, all I saw was support, compassion, empathy, and love for one another. And there I saw people brought to tears in the fact there was multiple times this happened where one of our members would suffer this attack and have all of their equipment stolen and be out of pocket for it. And together, as a chapter of 40, 50 people, we all discussed it amongst us. It was like, well, we want to be able to support our friends here and support our network. Let's all chuck 20 quid in, or whatever you've got spare. For some of us at times it was like, I've got a fiver, I've just got my own struggles, here's a fiver. For other people that were doing very well and successful, 200 quid, 300 quid. The generosity that comes from everyone is unbelievable and undeniable. And in that, this is one of the most beautiful moments to be able to have someone that is going through that time and in a meeting bring that attention and say, unfortunately, Bob Smith here has had his van broken into. We was aware of it. Bob, if you want to come up, we just want to speak our words of sentiment here and support here. And also, Rob has got something for you, Bob. Rob presents an envelope full of all the money we've put together to allow Bob to get back on his feet and get that van fixed, get the tools that he needs. It may not be able to cover everything, but it just means that they don't have to feel alone. They don't have to feel that they've been defeated. They don't have to feel like they're up against the world and it's just them. The response you get is wonderful. People come to tears in the generosity that they've experienced and the compassion and empathy that they've received from their fellow members. And that is truly the most wonderful thing I've ever experienced in a meeting. Not to mention, I feel like I can't really go on with other benefits from this now because it's such a wonderful thing. I should have ended on this. But we'll carry on with even more benefits. Not to mention the camaraderie. When you go around to different meetings, there is so much fun to have at 6 o'clock in the morning you would not believe. I used to, like at the meetings, you used to have to be there at 6:30 in the morning. I used to arrive at 5:30, sometimes earlier, because I was so excited to get to that meeting because I knew it was going to be such a laugh and such a great time, such great ambience and atmosphere with everyone. Overall, that atmosphere is incredible, and the laughs, and there's people that genuinely shouldn't be there as their trade, they should be comedians. So there's a point there to enjoy, and that alone helps people join, which you might think, well, the hell's the point? But in life, there's sometimes more to just making money and having a business. Having that enjoyment every week, being elated, knowing you're going to have a laugh, is like therapy in itself. Training. Within BNI, there are various trainings you can go on to. And they are, yes, they're focused within BNI and how to increase your skills as a BNI member. However, they are so applicable to your everyday business as well. Fundamentally, as a primary source to grow your BNI knowledge will help secondary in you growing your own business. While they may teach you how to bring visitors in primarily to benefit your BNI experience and you as a member, that primary skill of bringing visitors in can secondarily be utilized in your own business of, I've learned a conversation of how to attract someone and to promote something and sort of sell it off in a way that's very positive to them, that they see the value to come and give their time to it. Therefore, I can apply those skills in communication to sell to my prospective customers and demonstrate how I can use those skills to talk about my own business. And as I said, like in BNI, you're building your confidence, talking to people every week, learning how to network. And that can be applied into your own business of how I've got my 30-second pitch down to a T, that I can go into an environment where I need to promote myself. I can put it down to a T in 30 seconds. Perfect. When you go to an external networking thing and see people within BNI that are in it, you can often pick out the people that are in BNI because they're so used to just telling their story, telling the narrative of what their business is and what it does. Last point is just really, I want to drill down the point of connection. The fact that you go, you make wonderful connections, wonderful friends, wonderful partnerships, all manner of things can come out of BNI, and it's something that if you are on the fence, the least you can do is visit. Just go along. Oftentimes it can be free, sometimes you have to pay. Whatever it is, just go along, have a breakfast, and get to know people. And in being a member, I learned a huge amount, and I have so much to be grateful for BNI. Literally everything I've done in my life, in business, or moving on from that. Even my podcast, my podcast, I partnered up with Dave in the first series, who was a BNI member. That's how I know him. In starting a YouTube channel, it's all around the confidence I built to communicate, the stories I've got, all came from the inception of my BNI membership. Because my business grew. Without BNI, I genuinely have no idea where I'd be. I'd probably be like a one-man band kind of business, or somewhere. I feel like I'd have a similar journey, same sort of journey, but I'd just be 1,000 steps behind. So while I had my business collapse and was obviously felt like a huge failure, I've a lot to be thankful for that while I'm progressing like this, I went up, I then business collapsed, I've gone up, but this is all a result. Without BNI, it would be way lower down. So give it a go, see what you think. Let me know in the comments below if you've been to a meeting, if you've been to BNI, if it's been great, if it's not been great, what's not been great about it, what's been great about it. And obviously, if you have liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, comment below and let me know. If you haven't, comment below and let me know. And subscribe to the channel to make sure you get plenty more videos along the lines of this, whether it's BNI, investing, day trading, ethical wealth, sustainability, and much more. Until next time.